Okay, welcome Year 9 to BTEC Sport, and we're going to look at physical components of fitness today. There are two groups of components of fitness. We've got physical and skill, and it's really important that you are able to group the physical and the skill. Okay, you'll get a one marker usually at the beginning that normally asks you to pick the physical component of fitness. Out of a list of 4, 3 of them are skill, 1's physical, and it's a dead easy, simple one marker. But if you can't group them, then you might find it difficult and you could potentially lose a simple 1 mark. So it's really important that you're able to group them. So like I said, we're going to look at physical components of fitness. I'm not going to do a present, okay, because I'm going to go between specification and I'm also going to show you your work and what I expect to see in your workbook for this section of work. So you're going to develop knowledge and understanding of the physical components of fitness. You're going to understand the term deal. You're going to identify the definitions for physical components of fitness and provide an example and explain the importance of the components of fitness to sports performance. Okay, so let's look at the components of fitness first then. So like I said, they're in 2 groups. You've got physical and skill. Today, we're just going to focus on physical. In the next block of work, we'll look at skill. All right, so like I said, there are 6. Okay, you've got aerobic endurance, muscular endurance, flexibility, speed, muscular strength, and body composition. You will have heard of these terms in your PE lessons from Year 7 right through, obviously, to Year 9. Okay, and we've done a lot of this within our PE lessons. However, we're going to go into a lot more detail in BTEC Sport. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do then, and this is where we look at this deal. So deal is a paragraph. Deal is how you structure your answer when writing a long answer response to a question. Okay. Anything 3 marks plus, you will do a deal response, okay? So, like I said, we'll look at the definition. It's really important that you use the specification. This is why I said in the last video that understanding and being well versed in how to read it and what you're looking for is really important, okay? It gives you all the answers, all right? There's not many exams out there where you get pretty much the answer sheet before you've sat the exam. Yes, the questions are worded in a certain way, but they still require this information. It's just you need to remember it. Okay, so use the specification. There's our definition then for aerobic endurance. Okay, and what I've done is I've done aerobic endurance for you in your work. All right, so the definition is the ability of the cardiorespiratory system to work efficiently, supply nutrients and oxygen to working muscles during sustained physical activity. What I've also done is I've actually highlighted here for you what the cardiorespiratory system is. You'll need to know that just to be able to use it, just to gain an understanding for how to write your answer, all right? Because you will touch on it. So let's look at your workbook then, because your task is going to be to complete the first table. So here's the first table, and obviously the first one's been done for you, all right? And there's your definition from the specification. What's really important is I'm under no illusions that you will probably just copy and paste directly from the specification. And that's okay, all right, at this early stage. However, you can't keep doing it because you will not remember that definition at all. You need to be writing it down. You need to be putting it effectively into your own words, but still having the same, essentially the same definition. It doesn't necessarily have to be word for word, but it needs to be the same, if that makes sense. So, obviously, for the first task, all right, fair enough. If you're going to copy and paste, that's absolutely fine. However, you need to understand it because you are going to need it in your answers. When we get back into the classroom and we're using your workbooks, you will be copying and pasting then. So just be aware of that, okay, gents? Make sure you are reading it carefully and not just sort of flying through it quickly because you do need to understand it. And as this moves through, we will be able to gauge our understanding. Do you actually understand that definition? All right, and that's what's essentially what the exam is looking for, is looking at your understanding of the content. So once you've got your definition then, you then provide an example. That's our next E. So we've got here, Mo Farah is a long distance runner and requires aerobic endurance because he is running for a long time. Obviously he does 5,000, 10,000 meters. He's running for a prolonged, sustained amount of time. Okay, and we've just taken our understanding of the specification and provide a really good sporting example as to why aerobic endurance is important for Mo Farah. Okay, and it's brief, just very brief, very descriptive. obviously the next task is in front of you now. What's really important, gents, is that you use a different sport, okay, for each one of these. I don't want you to stick to sports that you are familiar with, for example, football, okay? It's really important that you understand and you gain a deeper understanding of the breadth and range of sports. The reason being is that the exam does not zoom in or go into just a specific sport, for example, football. It will have a breadth of sports because the people sitting the exam will all do different sports, okay? And it's not fair just to pick one out. So they will look at athletics, they will look at rowing, they will look at gymnastics, they will look at boxing, they'll look at table tennis, they'll ask questions on hockey and netball, okay? And normally it's to do with that person and why they need a component of fitness, or why do they need to use a certain principle of training, or why do they need to use a certain training method, or why do they need to use a fitness test. If you are unable to provide a specific example, you will struggle to answer the question. And that's why I said to you that it's really important that you are able to give a really clear, descriptive example. So please pick a range of sports for the next 5, okay? Happy days. Right, next one. So once we've provided our definition and example, we then move on to explain, okay? So explain is really, really important. Basically, it's why is it important to sporting performance? That's essentially what you're asking yourself, and that's what you're going to write, okay? So the next task, again, just put the picture underneath. You don't need to put any of the other information, otherwise it'll just bulk it up too much, okay? So put the picture, that's absolutely fine, but provide a really detailed explanation. So what we're going to look at, so what I've written here is, his body requires the cardiorespiratory system to efficiently supply his working muscles with oxygenated rich blood and nutrients over a prolonged period of time. So we've took a little bit of information from that definition, okay, and a little bit from our example. So prolonged is another word for sustained out of the specification. We've got oxygenated rich blood out of the spec, and we've got nutrients out of the specification. And then we've added, obviously, that information from our example for a prolonged period of time. He's running for a long time. The oxygenated blood breaks down the excess glucose in the muscles, which causes lactic acid. The buildup of lactic acid is bad for more Farah. Okay, so we're talking about the lactic acid. We're talking about why the cardiorespiratory system is important. Okay, because it's obviously providing more oxygen to get rid of this glucose or break down this excess glucose, which causes muscle stiffness, okay, or lactic acid. Okay, and then we've explained why that's bad. Okay, a buildup of lactic acid is bad for Mo Farah as it will cause his muscles to burn and fatigue. This will slow him down. Okay, obviously you can take your explanations in certain different directions. You might talk about carbon dioxide and exhaling that out, etc. But there's a really good example of an explanation. So once we've done our explanation, gents, and again, you're going to do it for all your different sports. Okay, we're then going to go on to our last piece of a deal response, which is link. The L stands for link. You must link your paragraph back to the question. That's really, really important. Okay, it ties everything up, provides a small conclusion. It just shows that you understand fully what has been asked of you. So our link here is, therefore, Mo Farah requires aerobic endurance so that he can last the full race at a high intensity without undue fatigue and win. Okay, and there's our deal. There it is in its finest. Every 3 marks, you'll be doing a deal. So when you look at the marks, if it's 4 marks, you know automatically that you need to provide a deal. What normally happens with a 4 marker is that you normally need to give an extra example, okay? But we'll go through mark schemes and things later on. But essentially, every 3 marks, you're looking at a deal response, okay? So obviously, like I said in the introduction video, the final question on your exam is a 9 marker. So it will be 3 deal response paragraphs at the end. So when we're just going to look at the long answer question in a second. What I want to do is show you a waggle of a deal paragraph. So I've done it so that you can see each stage of the deal. So we've got the D there. Okay, we've got our example here. We've got our explain here, and then we've got the link here. So I'll read it for you. Aerobic endurance is the ability of the cardiorespiratory system to work efficiently, to supply nutrients and oxygen to working muscles during sustained physical activity. There's our definition. Okay, we're not going to get any marks for that. All right. However, we will start to we'll get one more mark. We'll get a mark in a second. Mo Farah is a long distance runner and requires aerobic endurance because he's running for a long time. There's your one mark. Okay, you get one mark for that. It shows brief understanding, shows that you know the definition and you've got a reasonable understanding of what it is. You now need to start thinking about picking up that second and third mark. Okay, so let's go and get the second mark then. His body requires the cardiorespiratory system to efficiently supply his working muscles with oxygenated rich blood and nutrients over a prolonged period of time. We've now got our second mark. Okay, we've shown a deeper understanding of why aerobic endurance is important for Mo Farah. Okay, again, linking it to him, not just someone in general, but specifically to him in his sport. So when you answer your question, you need to make sure that your long answer, deal answer links to Anthony, who is the prop forward. Okay, so obviously your example needs to be rugby and your explanation needs to be rugby orientated. Okay, let's have a look then how we get our last mark, this third mark. The third mark is the end of our explanation and our link. So the third mark is that section there, which is a buildup of lactic acid is bad for Mo Farah as it will cause his muscles to burn and fatigue. This will slow him down. Therefore, Mo Farah requires aerobic endurance so that he can last a full race at a high intensity without undue fatigue and weight. So that paragraph would get you 3 marks, okay? And you can see how detailed it is. Okay, it builds on every section, it builds on the definition, it then builds further onto an example, builds even further into a detailed explanation with our final link, tying it all together and finishing it off nicely. And you've shown deep understanding, okay? So let's look at your long answer question that I'd like you to have a go at. So Anthony is a prop forward for his local rugby team. What you will find when you come to these questions is there's quite a lot of jargon at the beginning. Okay, this is quite simple, there's not a lot here. But for some of your questions, there can be a lot of reading to get through before you even get to the question. That's giving you clues, it's giving you a pointer, it's trying to get you to think about specific examples that you can then talk about and explain in detail within your answer. So you need to know what a prop forward is. And this, you would get asked this type of question. So what is a prop forward? What's his job? What is he required to do? Okay, you know it's rugby, okay, so you might need to do a bit of research there, which is absolutely fine. If you want to do some wider research to help you answer this question, absolutely fine, okay? You're learning, it's the first time you've done this, so it's a really good way of doing it. Explain why Anthony requires muscular strength. So what this question is asking, is wanting from you is, do you know the definition and what is it? What is a prop forward? So it's looking at your sporting knowledge. And why does he need that muscular strength for that role? Why does he need muscular strength to be good at being a prop forward? Okay, have a go at it. Try and answer the question. If you can't, don't worry, don't panic. If it's, you know, as well, if you've gone over the hour, then stop. But have a go at it if you can. Okay, and see what and what we can do is when we get back in September and we're all together and we can see your work, we know where we need to improve on and we know where our strengths lie. Okay, so honestly, have a go at it and, you know, give it a good go. All right, so let's go back to the PowerPoint, and like I said, that's your last task. So good luck, gents. Any problems, please just email your subject teacher and they'll be more than happy to help you. Like I said, have a real good go at that long answer question. Do a bit of wider research if you need to. like I said, you've got a really good waggle there to help you in terms of how to structure your answer, okay, using that deal response, and also the kind of information and the kind of way in which you need to write and present that information is there for you to as an example. Okay, good luck, gents. Talk to you soon.